Yeah, hi everyone. Am I audible to all?
Yes, sir.
All right. So today we'll be starting with JSP. We have completed the servlet part. Okay. So little bit introduction of JSP we have already seen. Like as we know, the JSP page looks like your HTML page, but here then we can also add the Java code here inside the JSP page. Okay. So JSP is another Java technology that provides easy and fast development of the web application. So JSP is an extension of the servlet and not meant to replace the servlets. Actually, the JSP internally will be working as in servlet. Actually, what will happen, whatever the JSP code you are going to write will be converted into servlet and then it is going to be run. So we can say like internally, JSP is also in servlet. So however, like it is common practice to use both servlet and JSP in your web application. Look, actually what we'll do is let's suppose you are supposed to you have the requirement to write more HTML and less Java code. Then it is recommended to use the JSP page. And let's suppose you have to write more Java code and less HTML. Then it is recommended to use what servlet. So in that way, like what your requirement are, you can select either the servlet or the JSP page to be created for your web development. So it is important to note that Java Web Container convert our JSP into fully fledged server. That as I told you, like internally, the JSP first will be converted into servlet. Only then it will after that will produce their output. So whenever a request will reach for the JSP page for the first time, so what will happen there? The web container convert the JSP page into servlet, and this conversion will take place like this. You can see in this diagram. So let's suppose we have created a JSP file name. Let's say the name of the file is what demo.jsp. So what will happen as soon as the request will came for the first time for that JSP page, so first of all, it will be converted into, we can say what, a Java file. The name of the file will be like this, demo-jsp.java. It will be compiled as in .class file and it will be initialized as in what, as in servlet object. Alright, so this is what will happen when the request will reach for an JSP page for the first time. So remember it, like whatever the process you can see here in this diagram will only be done when there will be the first request for the JSP. After that, you can make any request. So from as in servlet request, it's going to meet your requirement. Alright, so it will be a one-time activity here, like to convert the JSP and to initialize it as in servlet object. Oh. So note that web container does not do anything with the JSP page until a request came in for that. So this conversion and compilation of JSP pages take place when a request came in for the first time for that particular JSP page. And it is a one-time process and never happen again as I told. So what are the advantages of GSP? It is easy to learn. As you can see, like it looks like the HTML and we can execute all the tags of the HTML here. Here, like less coding will be required. Like there like the several objects that are predefined here. Like for example, let's suppose you have to create a session. In case of servlet, first of all, you need to create an object of the session. Only then you can use it. Let's suppose you have to use the servlet context. Again, you have to first create the object, then you can use it. But for such of these things, we already have the predefined objects here. All right, and we can use them directly. Okay. So the next thing is the JSP life cycle. All right. So here you can see in the diagram, actually the life cycle will remain the same: init, service, and destroy. But the name here will be the JSP init, JSP service, and JSP destroy. So first of all, when the request will came for the first time, you know like it will be compiled as in .class file, and there the first step of the life cycle will be what, the initialization. So here we have a method named what, JSP init. So here like it will be initialized as in servlet. Then to generate the response, it will be executing the JSP service method. It will be executing each time when the request will reach for this JSP page. All right, and at the end, like if you want to destroy it, you can call the method what, JSP destroy. All right. So here in case of JSP, all the HTML tags are going to be work. In addition to them, we also have the tags of the JSP here that we are supposed to learn here. So you can see here, this is the basic structure of an JSP page. Like it will be start with the HTML, will be having the head part where you can define the metadata like title type of thing, and the body part will be having the JSP content. And here we can also define what the additional tag of the JSP. Okay, so first of all, we have the declaration tag where like we can declare anything. Okay. So here we are talking about the Java code. Like for example, I have to declare some variable, I have to declare a method. So I can do that in the declaration tag. And here the declaration tag will be started with the percentage note and will end with what? Not sign. So you can write it anywhere in your JSP page. So you can see it will be started with percentage note. And here what can you do? You can define your variables and method. You can see here I have defined a variable and a method. So this is how like you can declare anything in a JSP page using this declaration tag. Next, we have the scriptlet tag. It is going to be the one of the important tag here. So that start with the percentage and end with the percentage. And the main Java code that you want to be executed inside the JSP service method that you have to put here in this percentage. So here like whatever the code you are going to write, you can consider it like you are writing it within the service method. Like you remember like in case of servlet we define the do get and do post method. So like you can consider the code there in the scriptlet tag will be the code that you define where in the do get and do post method. Like you remember, like we were checking their username, password, and doing the several things. So this is what we can do here. All right. The next is an expression tag that start with the percentage equals to and end within a percentage. All right. And here like we can have anything that we want to print as it is. Like here we can say like percentage equals to welcome to JSP. So it will be equivalent to what? It will be equivalent to like writing out.println welcome to JSP. All right, like it also support the arithmetic calculation. Like we are saying percentage equals to 2 plus 2 percentage. So here it will print at the web page what 4. Okay. And one of the thing is note here is to don't put the semicolon here at the end. It is not required the semicolon. And whatever you are going to put here within this expression tag will automatically put where in the out.println. You can see here. When like it will be converted into servlet, as we know, like each of the JSP first will be converted into servlet. So it will be converted into out.println. Okay, if you want to put the comments, as we know, like these are the HTML comments. In the same way, we can define the JSP comment. Only the not sign will be replaced by the percentage sign. And in that case, like we can define any comments that we like. Okay, the last one we have the page directory, and here like we have the several page directory that we are supposed to learn later. But here, like, how can we define the page directory? So, page directory here inform the JSP engine the rules apply to a specific JSP page. It defines the page specific properties like the content type, character encoding, if you want to import a package type of thing. So that you have the percentage at the rate and then page. Okay, and after that you can define the several things. Let's suppose I want to import a package, then I can say import equals to the package name. So this is how I can import a particular package in a JSP page. In the same way, let's suppose I want to define the content type. So we can say percentage at the rate page, and here the attribute will be what? The content type, and here we can define the content type. And like you can see, we have seen the two import and the content type. So in that way, it is having the 13 different attributes. We'll see them later. Okay, so now let's consider a page, a JSP page, and let's try to understand like how it will be converted into what? Into servlet. Okay, so let's say this is the page here. So you can see first of all, what we have defined the content type, we have defined the page encoding, and we have imported a package name util. And how can we do that? We know we already have the page tag here, percentage at the rate page. That will be ending with what? Percentage sign. Okay. So after that, I want to say, let's suppose I want to declare something like the variables and the method. So for that, we already know we have what? The declaration tag. Let's start with the percentage note and add with percentage. All right. So here you can see I have defined a variable, I have defined a method. Okay, so in that way, whatever you want to define, you can define here. All right. And now within the body, I can have what? The scriptlet tag. And we know like whatever the code we are going to write within the scriptlet tag will be the code that automatically will be put within the service method. So here what we are saying, welcome to JSP. And after that, I have also specified what? These expression tag. Okay, so first of all, you can see here, these are the comments. Okay, and after the comments, like we have some expression tag, like percentage equals to 2 plus 2. So it will automatically do what? Like at the runtime when it will be converted into what? servlet. So it will be like this. It is going to be executed like this. 2 plus 2. Okay. And same is the case in the next one. It will be executed like this. Ln new date. And we want it to be print in a proper string format. So I am calling the toString method. All right. So the expression, whatever you are going to define in the expression tag, will be put in a out.println at the time of execution. Like when this JSP will be converted into what servlet at that time. Okay. So when it will be converted into servlet, let's see how it will look like. So it will be the pure servlet code here now. So you can see, first of all, it has imported the util package, then it has defined a class, the name of the class GoldNodes, and going to inherit what the HTTP servlet. Then it has declared some variables, string name and a method name getName. Then the code that we have defined here in this and in this one, okay, tags will be put in the service method automatically. So it has a service method that is like throwing the servlet and the IO exception. And here, first of all, what we require the out of the print writer. But remember here, in case of JSP, the out will be the object of the JSP writer, not the print writer. Actually, print writer and JSP writer are nearly the same, but here the JSP writer is having some buffering capabilities. Okay, so like here you can store some data temporarily. Okay, so it has that additional capability here. Okay, so over that what can we do? We can call the println method. Okay, so you can see there, like I define the content type page encoding, so those will be set here. All right. And after that, you can see like a proper HTML page will be there. Okay. And you can see like out.println welcome to JSP, out.println 2 plus 2, out.println new date dot toString. Okay. So this is how it will be converted into servlet. And remember, this particular conversion will be done automatically by the web container. So here we have just shown it just for your understanding, like how actually a JSP page will be converted into servlet. But you do not require to be worried about it. You can write the code directly here like this, like an HTML page, and this conversion will be done automatically at the runtime by the web container. I hope you are getting the point here. If so far, if anyone
Yes.
is having doubt, then please let me know.
So the first line of the code, sir.
Where?
Sir, in the notepad. No, sir, the previous one.
Uh,
Yes,
this
this
one.
one. Yes, sir.
Look, here, as we know, the last thing that we have seen was what? The page directive. Okay. And here the page directive can have in total 3 different attributes. The first attribute we have seen here is about the import. Like we can see percentage as page import equals to like whatever the package we want to import, we can write the name. In the same way, let's suppose I want to define the content type. So for that, we have an attribute name, a predefined attribute name, what content type. And here you can define the type of content. So in that way, the page directive will define the 13 different attributes. What are the remaining one? We'll see that later. All right. So this is what we are doing here using the page directive. We define the content type, okay, and other thing like the page encoding or the import or the anything else, like whatever we want to do. So far we have seen the 3 attributes. What are these? The content type, page encoding, and import. So if you want, like you can also put them in a separate one. Like the first will be having the content type, the second will be the page encoding, the third will be the import. If you want to like include the two into a one, so this is how you can do it. And after space, I can also specify the import here, okay, in the same line. So that's up to you, like if you want to have them all the attribute in the same line or in a different line. That's up to you. I hope now you are getting it.
So what does UTF-8 stand for?
Okay, this is the standard page encoding techniques. You can search the page encoding. There are several standard page encoding techniques, okay, available. You can define like these are the predefined standard for the encoding of the page. Okay, it has nothing to do with the Java. Okay, these are
Okay,
same
sir.
for like the text you are writing here. Okay. All right. So now let's see the first program of the JSP. Okay, it is going to be a very basic program here. So let me open the Eclipse. So remember, your web project is going to be a combination of servlet and JSP. As I told you, like if you observing that your web page will require more HTML and less Java, then go for JSP. Otherwise, go for servlet. So it's totally up to you. But here, like if you want, you can create the entire project using the servlet as well as using the JSP. That is also possible. But here we are having the two choices just for the simplification of creating the project, so that like we can quickly create the project. Otherwise, like we can do the work using the one also. Like if you only want to use JSP, you can do that, and you can do whatever the thing you can do with the servlet, you can also do with the JSP and the vice versa. So both are possible. By the next class, we'll try to complete the syllabus. Today is Thursday. Yeah. By tomorrow, we'll try to complete it. And I hope like all of you have started the project, and please submit it uh, 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 by the next week. Okay. So what can you do is you can mail me. So once you created the project, add it into a jar file, or you can create a RAR file of that, or just send it. I hope like whatever we have seen so far, you should be able to now create a project, a website type of thing. Okay, so now let's create a new project, dynamic web project, and let's say the name is JSP demo 1, so 0. And here one of the advantage of JSPs are what? Like we do not need to be care about their URL pattern. Okay, they are going to have the same URL pattern as their name. Okay, so here in this example, I will be creating all the JS page. So how can you create the JSP page? Right click on your project, go to new, and from here select the JSP file. And because it is going to be your default page, so name it as index. And our default page will be created for you. Okay, so you can see at the rate percentage at the rate page. Okay, and you can see the language attribute, the content type, the character set. Okay, so these are also the attribute of what? Of the page. Okay, and you have also defined the page encoding. So in that way, as I told you, like it support in total 13 attributes. So some of the additional one are given here. Okay. So if you want to skip this line, you can skip. Okay. So like you can see here, like this is just providing what? The metadata about your page. Then after that, you can see you have fully fledged HTML page here. But actually it is not in HTML, it is what? It is in a JSP page. So here what we have done is we have created a form. Okay, so we have created a form that will ask you your name in a text box T1, and when you submit it, it will be using the post method and will be like submitting into a page name called first.jsp. Remember here, in case of servlet, you do not require to write the extension, but in case of JSP, the extension should also be there. Like you can see, I have not written the only first, I have written what first.jsp. Alright, so this is the next page we are going to create here. So again, right click on your project, new JSP file. The name of the file will be first.jsp. All right. Okay. This is the code that we are having there. So as you can see here, like we require to get the value that the user has entered in the text box T1. How can we get that? We already know like we have the request parameter that has the method name what get attribute. But that is what that is in a Java code, so we require to return within what the script tag. I have not closed it. Let me also close it. So you can see here within the body, I have defined the script tag, and there like I'm writing the Java code like request.get parameter T1. I'm getting the name, and finally we are saying what out.println welcome, and whatever is the name of the person, okay, will be printed there in the output. So is it clear to everyone? You can see like how can you write the Java code there using this script tags. And in between, I have also defined the comment. So here you can see one more thing. One more thing to note here is what, like in the servlet, we first of all to like use the out. First of all, we need to write like print writer out equals to response.get writer. Only then I can use the out. But here in case of JSP, all such things are already defined there. Okay, we can say these are the predefined object here. So out is in a predefined object that has already been defined in the JSP. So we can use it directly, okay, without creating the object. So we can directly say out.println. But remember here, the out belong to what? The JSP writer, not the print writer. Okay, you can see here we have directly used the out. And in that way, like whenever we require the servlet config, servlet context, HTTP session, cookies, okay, everything is predefined here. Okay, we can directly use it without creating the objects. Oh no, no. It will be. I think I have added the additional one here. Okay, so it will be closed here. Okay, so now if you want to run it, you can run it. Right click over it, run on server. So it is a very basic program that is showing you like how can you write the JSP file. So it will ask you the name. You can enter whatever the name you like, submit it. It will be submitted where to the first.jsp page, and you can see the output of the first.jsp page. All right, so this is our first program here. Okay, so we have completed this lecture. So up to this, let me know if anyone is having any doubt. So we have seen what JSP is, what is the life cycle of JSP, what are the advantages of JSP, and what are the different tags available in the JSP. We have seen the declaration tag, scriptlet tag, expression tag, comment tag, okay, and we have seen what page directive, with which like we can use the different attributes. And finally, we have seen like how actually JSP page will be converted into servlet. That is just for your understanding here. Actually, you are not required to like learn that because that will be done automatically by the compiler. Okay, and finally, we have seen a basic program. Okay, so now let's move to the next one. It's either 21 or 20. Okay, so the next topic we are having what JSP implicit objects. Actually, as I told you, like for all of the required things, we already have a predefined objects. All right, like for example, we want an access to request. So we already have an object name request already available there of the class code HTTP servlet request. So this is an interface. And same is the case of the response. And we already have a out predefined there of what JSP writer. Let's suppose we want an access of the servlet config. So we already have a predefined object name what config in the JSP, so we can use it directly. Let's suppose we want the session. So we do not require to create the object of that because we already have an object, predefined object there of the session with the name what session. So I can already, I can like make you, I can use it, okay, without creating any object because it is a predefined object. Okay, so here the important thing is what you should remember the name. Like these are the standard name that has already like been predefined here in case of JS. Like we need to access to the servlet context. So for the servlet context, we already have an object name application. So this is again predefined. The page context is a new thing here. Okay, that like only belong to the JSP pages, not belong to the servlet. And for that also we have one a predefined object name page context. Okay. For an object, we have on a page object, and for an exception of type throwable, we have the exception object predefined. So these are the implicit object, or we can say the predefined objects available in the JSP that we can use directly without creating any object. Okay. Okay. So let's see them one by one. So first of all, let's see what request, response, and out. Okay. So JSP, if we talk about the JSP request, so request is an object of what? HTTP servlet request interface that is passed where within the service method. So if you remember, like within the service, we need to pass the two parameters: HTTP servlet request, HTTP servlet response, and these are already predefined there, so we can use it directly. Either the request or the response we can use directly. So if you remember, in the last example, I have used the request.get parameter. So you can see I was using the request directly because this is the predefined object there. And same is the case with the response also, like response.set content type or anything else, I can use direct. Okay, and out also we have already been used in the last example. Like we can directly say out.println. As I told you here, out belongs to what? The JSP writer. So like there is a slight difference between them. The difference of what? It will add some buffer capability into the JSP writer. Okay, so here's the example, and it's going to be the same example, I think. Yeah. So if you want, let me create it. Okay, let me modify the existing example in the index.jsp. In the body, we'll be having a form, and you can see here it is asking you what the name and the password. And if you will like to click on the login button, it will take you where to the login check.jsp page. So this is a new page that need to be created here. Right click on it, go to JSP file, and create the login check.jsp. And they are like, what can you do? You can get the value of T1 and T2 text field, and you can check accordingly, like if these are the correct one, take the user to the home page type of thing. Okay, so the same thing that we are doing in the servlet can also be done in the JSP because that is going to be a Java code. So this is how you can write it within the scripted tag. Okay, so here like you can define toString, let's say name is equals to what? Request. You can see I'm using the request directly here. Dot get parameter. The parameter name is what? T1. In the same way, I can get what? The password from the T2. Okay, similarly, we can check if nm dot equals what? Anything, whatever you like, let's say admin, and let's say ps dot equals, let's say 123. Okay, one more thing is remaining, that is what, like how can we use the JDBC with the web page. Like here so far what we are doing is we are taking admin and 123, these are the constant username and password. But in actual practice what it should be, like first of all the user should have a registration form where like user will enter all these entries, and these entries will be stored in our database. And whenever like user will click on the login page, so we will ask the user username and password, and now we'll try to match them with what? With the one that all available in our database. So if the username and password will be matched, then we will send the user the home page. Otherwise, we'll like can show him or her a error message. Okay, so this is one program that is also remaining. We'll try to cover that tomorrow. Okay, so here like you can do whatever you like. In that case, like you can say response dot what send redirect, and let's say home dot js. Okay, so already this is how like you can do. And in the same way, you can define the else part. And let's say that you want to send it to where? Index.jsp. Or if you want to like combine the output of login check with the index.jsp, so you can use what? You can use the request dispatcher that we already know. We can use the include method of that. And now what can we do is we can define the home page there. You can see like all the pages I have defined here as in JSP pages. But as I told you, you should define the pages as in JSP if they will be having less Java code. So here you can see here, like for example, the login check. So you can observe here like the login check is required most of the logic written in a Java programming language. So it is always recommended to write the login check as in servlet, not as JSP. But here like because we are writing, we are learning the JSP, that is why like I have created it as in JSP page. But otherwise it is recommended to create as in what? As in servlet. Because that will make your task easy. And here let's say, not seeing well. Oh. Okay, so again you can run it. Let's say admin and 123. Okay, so this is how it will be executing there. So we have seen the first three: request, response, and out implicit objects. The next one is what? The config. Okay, that belongs to what? The servlet config. If you remember, like we need the method request dot get servlet config to get a reference to the servlet config. But here we have a predefined config available to us that we can use directly. Okay, so here we can again define some initialization parameter where in a web.xml file, and that we can get here. Let me show you the example. One thing that need to be taken care here, how can we define the initialization parameter for the servlet? Okay, so there is a slight difference that we can define them for the JSP. Okay. So first of all, create the index.jsp page. So let me overwrite the code. So on the index.jsp, what we have just an hyperlink, so initialization parameter, and will be it will be taking us where over the first.jsp page where like we try to fetch what the initialization parameter and where we can define them within the web.xml file. So let me open the web.xml file. So right now you can see we don't have any information here. And how can we define that? Yeah, here it is. Okay, so let's try to observe it. So first of all, we have the servlet tag. We have the servlet name. You can name it whatever you like. And after that, if you remember, we will be having the servlet class. Okay, but here because we are not having a servlet, we are having a JSP file. So in place of class, we have to use the tag what JSP file. And here you can write what the name of the file first.jsp. Actually, it will be the URL pattern there. And inside this servlet tag, I can define the init parameter. Okay, and they can define exactly the same as we have done in case of servlet. Like they will be having the param name and param value type of thing. Okay, in that way, like you can see, I have defined the two things here. Okay. And here the servlet tag has been completed. Then we can have the servlet mapping that will be having the servlet name that should be matched with this servlet name and the URL pattern. Okay, so this is the URL pattern here first. Okay, so now what we'll try to do is in the first node the SP, we'll try to access the uh, initialization parameter. So for that, what we require a reference to config. But as we know, in case of JSP, we already have predefined object name config. So we can use that directly. And this is actually we want to see here. Okay, right. So you can see I'm directly saying like config dot get init parameter. Like if it was the servlet, then first of all, I need to create an object of the servlet config by saying what like get servlet config is the method that will return you the servlet config object. And over that, in the next line, you can call what get init parameter. But here, as we know, the config is in a predefined object, so we can use it directly. So over that object, I can make use of method get init parameter that will return you what that will return you the value of an parameter whose name you are going to specify in the parameter here. Okay, so the name and email we have access here, and after that we have just printed them. So this is what we are doing here. I hope it is clear to everyone. The only point that we are that we like to make here is what like the config is in a predefined object and we can use it directly. Okay, so this is what we have seen. Let me know if anyone has any doubt up to this point. Anyone, any doubt? Next, we have the session. And like if you remember, in case of HTTP, sorry, in case of servlet, first of all, to use the session, we have to create the object of it. Like we can say request.get session. Only then we'll be getting in a session object, and after it we can use it. But here it is not the case. We can use it directly. Okay. Okay. The index.jsp is exactly the same. Only the first.jsp is required to be add some extra content. Okay, let me first copy paste it. All right. So what we are doing here, you can see if I want to get the ID of the session. So we know like the method is what get ID that we can call over what over the session object. And you can see here I have not created any object to the session. I'm directly saying session.get ID. And how can we do that? Because we know session is in a predefined object here. So we can use that directly. So you can see I have like code the several method of the session. I think we already know all of them. We have already seen them with the servlet, and exactly the same thing we can do here. The only difference is what the session is a predefined object here. So we can use it exactly the same without creating any object because session is in a predefined object here. All right. The next is the JSP application attribute that will be what the object of the servlet context. Okay, again, what can be the like the use of this application attribute? It can be used like to share some information between the different pages, or you can also use it to get the configurational information from the web.xml file. So the config can be used to get the configurational information related to a particular page, but like you can have some configurational information related to the entire application. So that information you can like have here using what this application attribute. Okay, so it will be working exactly the same as we have seen in the what in the servlet. I don't think like there is any need to tell about it. So only thing that you need to remember is what like you can use the application directly. So application is in a predefined object there. So get init parameter or whatever the method you want to call, you can call it directly. Like get attribute, set attribute or whatever. Okay, anyone any doubt up to this point? Next we have
No, sir.
page context, and that is like a new thing here in case of JSP that only belongs to JSP, not to the what can we say servlet. How much we are remaining here? Okay, so let me complete this lecture also. Okay, so next we have the page context, and page context is an object of what JSP context class. So this class only belongs to JSP. It has nothing to do with the servlet. That enable us to set and get the attribute from the different scopes supported by the JSP. And here, in if you compare it with the servlet, JSP support one more scope. Like as we know, like in case of servlet, we can have the request scope, session scope, and application scope. So in addition to it, here in case of JSP, we'll be having some one additional one that is called what page scope. Okay, like if you want to get any value that has been defined in request scope, okay, then we can use sorry, what can we say it? A constant that is defined there, a constant in request scope. And using this request scope, I can get the value of any attribute that has been defined in that particular request scope. In the same way, let's suppose you have defined any attribute in the session. So using the session scope, I can get it. And in the same is the case with the application scope. If any attribute has been defined in the application scope, I can get its value using this application scope. And same is the case with the page scope. All right. So here, okay. So now let's say it. So to set and get the attribute page context, inherit the method from the JSP context. Set attribute and get attribute. Like let's suppose you want to set a value and you want to share it with someone else. Okay, so you can set it using the set attribute. Like if you are in a request scope, then you can set it using the request. If it will be available within the same session, you can set it using the session. Okay, if it will be available somewhere else, you can set it using what? Using the application attribute. So that's like up to you where you want to send the attribute. And someone that will be available in that particular scope can like execute the method get attribute, okay, to get the value of that particular attribute. And as we know, like we have the constant defined here to access the different scope, request, session, application, and the page scope. So accordingly, like we can define the scope there. Okay, so let's see an example to understand it. Okay, first of all, like we are having just a demo of how can we use. So let's suppose setting a request level attribute. So let's suppose I have a string defined name hello, okay, and I want to share this hello string with someone else where like from this page we are going to send the request to some other page. So that particular page within the request scope, okay. So let's suppose I want to share it with that page. So what I do is I can set the value of this particular string in the attribute of the page context. As we know, like we already have a predefined object named page context, and that is having a method named what? Set attribute. All right. So there, okay. So it will be like having the three parameter. The first will be the name of the attribute. The second will be the value of the attribute. So you can see the attribute name is message and the value is the str. Actually, it will be the hello there. And the next thing you can define the scope. Like in what scope you can access this particular attribute. Okay, so we have defined it what as a request scope. This is how you can define it. You can say page context dot request scope dot application scope and so on. Okay. So if someone else that is available in the same request scope want to access it, so how can they access it? They can say like the page context dot get attribute, and here you are supposed to pass the two values. First will be the name of the attribute that you can see here is what? Message. And the second will be what? The scope from which like you want to access the value. So it will be what? It will be the request. Okay, and here actually the output you are going to get in an object format, but actually here the object will be containing what? String. So you can typecast it normally using the string to get a proper string. In that way, we can set the attribute in any scope. Like in the second example, we have setting the attribute in the session scope. Like again, we have on a message say hello, okay, and I'm setting the attribute in what scope? Session scope. So if we want to access it on some other page that will be available in the same session, so I can use the get attribute method by defining the scope. Okay. Okay. And here like we are setting as in the page level scope, and remember it, if you haven't specified the request scope here, like what type of scope you are using here, by default it will be the page scope. And here you can see here in this example, okay, we have defined it. If you want, like you can skip it. Okay. So in place of like writing set attribute message str page context dot page scope, you can just say message comma str. So you can skip the page scope because by default it is going to have what? The page scope there, and we can get it anywhere within the same page scope. Okay, so here we have we have an example of it. So this is going to be important example. Just see it carefully. So first of all, in the index.html, we have a simple form where we are asking about username and password in the text field T1 and T2. Let me overwrite the code of the index.html. All right. Okay, we have the login check.jsp page. Here we'll be having a slight difference. This is the login check.jsp. So first of all, we are getting the value of T1 and T2 text field, and we are checking like they will satisfy these properties. Then what we are doing is, so if you know like so far how we are setting the session attribute, like we are saying the session dot set attribute, and we can set the session attribute. But here like we have an additional method, we can do it using the page context. So I can say what page context dot set attribute, name and whatever the value you want to set. Okay, and you can define the scope. Okay, and here like whenever you want to access in the home page, you can access it. Okay, using the same page context. So here like this is the second way to do it. Okay, so like if you don't want to use the session to define set attribute or get attribute, you can also do it using the page context. And here like it will provide you the four scopes: the session, the request, the application, and the page. Okay, it is redirecting where to the home page. And here like we want to do the session management of the over the home page. So what can we do is, like before actually showing the content, we can verify like whether this particular session attribute has been set or not. And when this attribute will be set, when you are following a proper login process. Okay, so this will save us from the case of what, like if someone will be entering the home page URL, so they will not be able to access the home page if they have not like followed the proper process of login. So if you remember, like this is the same thing we have done in case of session management topic. Okay, so again, like I'm getting the attribute that has been defined there in the session. Okay, the name was what, name, and the value is this nm. Okay, so if this will be set, we can say only then like it will show you the content of the home page. However, like we have not done this here, so here like we can say if this name is equals to null, then what can we do? We can say like the response. Oh, sorry, I'm going to write what? So you can see it is in a Java code. So we have to define what? This scriptlet tag. So all of this code will be in the scriptlet. So here we can say what? Response dot send redirect. Where we want to redirect in that case? Index.html to the login form if the name will be empty. Okay. So this is how we can do it using this page context. I hope you are getting the point here. Anyone any doubt in this? Then please let me know. That's all that we are supposed to cover for today. Tomorrow we'll try to complete the syllabus. So we are having the two things tomorrow, a little bit more about the JSP and a JDBC example, where we'll be like creating a fully fledged example of we can say what, register and login. First, we'll allow someone to register with the website if they will be a new user. Okay, and then they will be able to log in using the username and password that they will provide. Okay. So now just give me a minute. Let me open the attendance sheet and I will be taking the attendance.